Okay, so good day everyone. So my topic for today is about security issues and challenges in cloud computing. The cloud has become an inseparable part of daily life, no? For both individual and organizations. Businesses, nonprofits, and other organizations all leverage cloud computing services on a daily basis to save time, money, and hassle that would otherwise be spent on managing an on-premises computing solution. Uh, well, the cloud helps a lot of companies improve their access to critical software apps, computing platforms, and services. It has also introduced new challenges, in maintaining strong cybersecurity. Cloud is referred as large pool that holds easily accessible and usable virtualized resources. To manage variable load and optimum usage, these resources are reconfigured dynamically. Again, cloud computing is a distributed architecture that centralizes server resources on a scalable platform so as to provide on-demand computing resources and services. Cloud services providers offers cloud platforms for their customers to use and create their web services. Much like internet service providers offer coned out, cloud computing has provided many exciting services and features like flexibility, reliability, unlimited storage, portability, and the quick processing power, but cloud security is still a big issue. Security issues including lack of trust, the risk of malicious insiders, and the failing of cloud services have been discussed today. High-speed broadband to access the internet. Okay. What is cloud computing? Actually, cloud computing is a term that covers a wide range of technology resources that are delivered, so as a service, via an internet connection. This includes software as a service or SaaS, platform as a service or PaaS, and structured as a service or IaaS, among other services. Now, cloud computing is architecture for providing computing service via the internet on demand in pay-per-use access to a pool of shared resources, namely networks, storage, service, or servers, and applications. Now, without physically acquiring them. So it saves many managing costs and time for organizations. Normally, data was stored in relational databases on one or more servers located inside the organizations in the clients needed to request data from these server machines. Now, IaaS and its component must be discussed today. So we present how security at IaaS layer need to be handled carefully as delivery models, platform as a service, and software as a service are built upon IaaS layer. We focus how IaaS security issues, data protection and usage monitoring, end-to-end logging and reporting, infrastructure, hardening, and end-to-end encryption need to be resolved. Now, so in infrastructure as a service, in IaaS model, cloud server service provider outsources storage, servers, hardware, network components, and others to the consumer. So the cloud service provider owns the equipment and responsible for housing, running, and maintaining it. In this model, as what we have here, consumer pays on a per-use basis. Now, characteristics and component of infrastructure as a service include policy-based services, dynamic scaling, of course, automation of administrative tasks, utility computing service and billing model, internet connective and desktop virtualization. So, being the most trending technology of the age, the research is being there is some research done widely in cloud computing and especially in cloud security. Cloud Security Alliance now was formed with the aim to provide assured security with cloud computing environment. The CSA launched security guidance for critical areas of focus in cloud computing as their initial product to help users to get better insight about clouds and the security parameters. The Cloud Computing Interoperability Group and the Multi-Agency Cloud Computing Forum made a lot of efforts to deliver efficiency and effective controls to provide information security in cloud environment. Now, different models of cloud computing. Generally, cloud services can be divided into three categories. As what I mentioned earlier during my introduction, that we have a software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. Now, software as a service can be described as process by which application service provider provide different software application over the internet. This makes the customer to get rid of installing and operating the application on own computer and also eliminate the tremendous load of software maintenance, continuing operation, safeguarding, and support. SaaS vendor advertently takes responsibility for deploying and managing the IT infrastructures like servers, operating systems, software, databases, data center space, network access, power and cooling, and each other, and processes like infrastructure patches, upgrades, application, patches, upgrades, backups, and others. It required to run and manage the full solution. The SaaS feature a complete application offered as a service on demand. Then platform as a service is the delivery of the computing platform and solution stack as a service without software downloads or installation for developers, IT manager, or end users. It provides an infrastructure with a high level of integration in order to implement and test cloud applications. The user does not manage the infrastructure, including the server, the network, the OS, and the storage, but he controls deployed applications and possibly their configurations. How about the platform as a service? Platform as a service is a way to rent hardware, operating system, storage, network capacity over an internet. The platform as a service is an outgrowth of SaaS that allow hosted software application to be made available to consumer over the internet. Developers get many advantages from PaaS. With PaaS, OS can be changed and upgraded as many times as needed because platform as service allows geographically distributed teams to work together on software development projects. The CSP have crossed international boundaries for providing ongoing and demanded services to consumers. Now, what do each of these services mean? So, as I mentioned earlier, the SaaS cloud computing, this is the delivery of application from a third party via web-based interface. So the end user only interacts with the specific applications provided by the third party. The cloud service provider or the CSP is responsible for everything else. Again, the PaaS cloud computing, the PaaS services put more control and responsible into the hand of end users, providing a predefined operating environment where the user can develop, test, and run their own applications. In other words, they provide a platform where the user can create and run cloud-based application. The IaaS cloud computing, this is the cloud computing service that provides the most freedom and of course responsibility to the user. The CSP is providing what amounts to a remote data center with minimal configuration. Users have to manage most aspects of the computing environment, such as operating systems and security. And this is the closest closest experience to managing an on-premises data center that cloud computing can provide, albeit with the ability to freely scale resource allocation up or down, of course, depending on the user's needs each month. These services can help companies access computing resources and applications without having to commit to major upfront capital expenses for system hardware and maintenance. However, they provide a different level service, control, and responsibilities. So as what we have here, this will be an example of code your app. No, we have the code, deploy, and enjoy. So, and this will be an example of a infrastructure as a service. So your IT team manage applications and data via portal through the internet or other connectivity options. So offices, users access application through a company data center or over the internet. Then the user access application through the internet or VPN or the virtual private network and so on. Okay, so one big question that people have about the cloud is whether it's a secure. Of course. So, security issues in cloud computing is a major source of worry for any organization, for many organizations that are considering using cloud-based apps and infrastructure. The answer is it's complicated because individual cloud computing solutions can be incredibly secure using all of the latest protection. In fact, cloud services cloud computing services, users are often responsible for a major portion of their cloud security. Because, of course, failing to properly address cloud computing security risk and issue can lead to an otherwise preventable data breach. And according to information cited by McAfee through 2023, at least 99% of cloud security failures will be the customer's faults. In other words, cloud security can be highly variable, depending on how well the end user addresses cloud computing security issues and risks. In this, it's not that much different from using on-premises data centers, aside from the fact that the cloud data center is located off-site. Now, so as what we have here, cloud security is a catch-all term for the security practices, controls, and technologies that are used to protect cloud computing environments. This control can be classified into three distinct categories. So as what we have here, preventing controls. These cloud security controls seek to minimize exposure and close potential security gaps in the cloud infrastructure. And this can include things like firewalls, encryption solutions, and safe application use policies. The detection controls, these controls work to detect attacks in progress or recently completed attacks so that automated or manual remediation can begin. Things like security information and event management, or the SIEM, or SIEM solution, which are frequently delivered by, of course, the SaaS models, antivirus, anti-malware scanning tools, and even managed network security monitoring could be considered example of detection control. How about the corrective controls? Excuse. These controls are designed to remediate the damage or negative effects of an attack after it happens. Things such as remote data backups, to restore corrupted or damaged files, virus malware removal tools, and managed security incident response services could all serve as example of corrective controls. So, why is cloud security important? So, it's important for the same reason that your company's internal network security is important, because your reputation, organizational integrity, and ability to operate successfully are all at stake. However, many people tend to underestimate the importance of cloud computing security. In large part, this is because they assume that CSP or the cloud service provider is responsible for cybersecurity in the cloud. Unfortunately, this isn't usually the case. Most of the time, it's the user or of a cloud computing solution that is responsible for any data breaches that occur. So why are users responsible for data security in cloud computing? Because even with the best security controls in place for preventing, detecting, and remediating breaches, if the end user doesn't configure their cloud services strategy, or worse, yung actively circumvents the CSP security tools, there isn't much the CSP can do to stop a breach. While some cloud services place a bigger burden on end users to practice strong cloud security than others, it's always a concern. Now, here is the 7 common cloud security issues and challenges. So, what are some of the biggest cloud security issues and challenges that you might have to deal with? So, here is the shortened list of some commonly cited concerns. Number 1, potential loss or theft of intellectual property. The IP theft is major concern for many companies. According to the data WIPO, there were over 3.3 million patent applications filed in 2018 alone. And these IPs or intellectual properties represent competitive advantages for the business holding them. So their loss or theft can have a tangible impact on market share as copycats recreate products and processes for cheaper since they don't have to cover development costs. Regulatory compliance violations. Many organizations have to follow strict compliance guidelines within their industry. However, a cloud computing service may not necessarily meet the strict regulatory compliance standard as organization has to follow. This can lead to compliance violations in or if the cloud computing security issues related to the compliance standard aren't addressed. Okay, reduced visibility of the cloud environment. One of the key issues that companies have with a cloud computing solution is that some CSPs do not provide visibility into the cloud environment. This is most frequently an issue in SaaS solutions. PaaS and IaaS solutions tend to provide more visibility because the user is expected to do their own configurations and management for the cloud environment. Reduce control of cloud environment settings. Alongside reduced visibility, many cloud computing service users experience less control over their computing environments when working on the cloud. Once again, this is most common with SaaS type cloud solutions that deliver a fixed application. IaaS and PaaS solutions tend to provide much more control, as I mentioned. Lateral attack spread. If a cloud computing environment doesn't have a strong defense in depth controls, it can be easy for an attacker to spread from one workload on the cloud to the next, no? And this can lead to multiple databases or apps on the cloud becoming compromised quickly during a breach. No? Increased complexity or of security. Companies that work with multiple cloud service providers often complain of having to deal with several different complicated cloud security processes. So for example, some SaaS solutions might require multi-factor authentication using SMS text messages, while others might have different authentication methods. This increases process complexity and make it more difficult to end users to leverage different cloud solutions in their day-to-day workflows. Now, notifying affected parties after a breach. No? Another consequence of having decreased visibility into a cloud computing environment is that it becomes harder to identify the parties affected by a breach. Without detailed records of which databases and apps were affected, it's harder to know whose data was compromised. And this makes meeting data breach notification requirements significantly more difficult. Okay, security issues and solutions. So in the 2020 Cloud Security Report, organizations were asked about their major security concerns regarding cloud environments. Despite the fact that many organizations have decided to move sensitive data and important applications to the cloud, concerns about how they can protect it there abound. Okay, so security issues and solutions once again. The problems related to cloud computing in their proposed solution was discussed with this one. No? Trust. Trust between customer and service providers is the main issue faced by cloud computing nowadays. Customers is never sure whether the service is trustworthy or not, and whether his data is secure from the intruders or not. The customer and service providers are bound by service level agreement or the SLA document. And this is a type of an agreement between the customers and the service provider. It contains the duties of service provider and his future plans. But unfortunately, there are no standards for service level agreement. Confidentiality. Confidentiality means to prevent the disclosure of private and important information. So since all the information is stored on geographically dispersed location, confidentiality becomes a big issue. So many methods are used to preserve confidentiality, from which encryption is the widely used method. But it is relatively an expensive method. Okay? Authenticity. No? Integrity is also the main issue faced by cloud computing. It refers the improper modification of information as the data resides in different places in the cloud, so that access control mechanism should be very secure and its user must be verified as an authentic user. No? Authentication problems can be solved by using the digital signatures, but even after having access to digital signatures, a user can get access and verify the subsets of data. Encryption. Encryption is the most widely used data securing method in cloud computing. No? It has many drawbacks. No? It needs high computational power. The encrypted data need to be decrypted every time when a query is run. So it reduces the overall database's performance. Many methods presented to ensure better encryption in terms of better security or the operations. Because a method proposed suggests that by using several cryptographic methods instead of only one can increase the overall throughput. No? Data is encrypted using this method in each cell of a table in cloud. Whether a user wants to make a query, the query parameters are evaluated against the data stored, and the query results are also decrypted by the user, not the cloud itself, so it increases the overall performance. The key management. While doing encryption, we need encryption or decryption keys, and managing this keys itself is a big security issue in the cloud environment. Storing these encryption keys on a cloud is a bad option. It is easy to store single encryption key, but for the real-time system, it becomes a complex task to store these keys. Now, this may require a separate small database to store the keys locally in a protected database. But again, that's not a good idea because the purpose of which we are shifting our data to clouds will become worthless. Okay? Data splitting. So data splitting may be better alternative to encryption. It is surely very fast as compared to encryption itself. The main idea behind it is to split the data over multiple hosts that are non-communicable. So whenever a user needs its data back, he must have access to both of the service providers to recollect his original data. No doubt, it is very fast technique, but it has its own security issues. So overcoming, so before that, I just want to discuss the main cloud security concern starting 2020. Okay, so main cloud security concerns starting 2020. That is 2021, right? In 2020 Cloud Security Report, organizations were asked about their major security concerns regarding cloud environments. Despite the fact that many organizations have decided to move sensitive data in important application to the cloud, so concerns about how they can protect it there abound. Data loss or leakage. Cloud-based environments make it easy to share the data stored within them. Now, these environments are accessible directly from the public internet and include the ability to share data easily with other parties via direct email invitations or by sharing a public link to the data. The ease of data sharing in the cloud. While a major asset and key to collaboration in the cloud creates serious concern regarding data loss or leakage. In fact, 69% of organizations point to this as their greatest cloud security concern. Data sharing using public links or setting a cloud-based repository to public makes it accessible to anyone with knowledge of the link, and tool exists specifically for searching the internet for this unsecured cloud deployments. Data privacy and confidentiality. We are all aware about our Data Privacy Act of 2012, no? Data privacy and confidentiality is a major concern for many organizations. Data protection regulations like the EU, General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, the Health Insurance Portability and Accessibility Act, the HIPAA, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, the PCI DSS, and many more mandate the protection of customer data and impose strict penalties for security failures. Additionally, organizations have a large amount of internal data that is essential for maintaining competitive advantage. Placing this data on the cloud has its advantages, but also has created major security concerns for 80% of organizations. So many organizations have adopted cloud computing but lack the knowledge to ensure that they and their employees are using it securely. As a result, sensitive data is at risk of exposure as demonstrated by massive number of cloud data breaches. Accidental exposure of credentials. Phishers, or the phishers commonly use cloud application and environment as a pretext in their phishing attacks. With the growing use of cloud-based email like G Suite, Microsoft 365, and others, and document sharing services like Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, and so on, employees have become accustomed to receiving emails with links that might ask them to confirm their account credentials before gaining access to a particular document or website. This makes it easy for cyber criminals to learn an employee's credentials for cloud services. As a result, accidental exposure of cloud credentials is a major concern of almost 44% of organizations, since it potentially compromises the privacy and security of their cloud-based data and other resources. Incident response. Many organizations have strategies in place for responding to internal cybersecurity incidents. So since the organization owns all of their internal network infrastructure and security personnel are on site, it is possible to lock down the incident. Additionally, this ownership of their infrastructure means that the company likely has the visibility necessary to identify the scope of the incident and perform the appropriate remediation action. With a cloud-based infrastructure, a company only has partial visibility and ownership of their infrastructure, making traditional processes and security tools ineffective. So as a result, 44% of companies are concerned about their ability to perform incident response effectively in the cloud. Legal and regulatory compliance. Data protection regulations like PCI, Data Privacy Commission, PCI DSS, no, and HIPAA require organizations to demonstrate that they limit access to the protection information. And of course, for the credit card data, healthcare patient records, and others. This could require creating a physically or logically isolated part of the organization's network that is only accessible to employees with a legitimate needs to access this data. Okay? When moving data protected by this and similar regulations to the cloud, achieving and demonstrating regulatory compliance can be more difficult. No? With cloud deployment, organizations only have visibility and control into some of the layers of their infrastructure. As the result, legal and regulatory compliance is considered a major cloud security issue by 40% organizations and requires specialized cloud compliance solutions. Okay. How about data sovereignty or residence or control? Most cloud providers have a number of geographically distributed data centers. This helps to improve the accessibility and performance of cloud-based resources and make it easier for the CSPs to ensure that they are capable of maintaining service level agreements in the face of business disrupting events such as natural disasters, power outages, and others. So organizations storing their data in the cloud often have no idea whether data is actually stored within a CSP array of data centers. And this creates major concern around data sovereignty, residence, and control of 37% organizations. With data protection regulations such as the GDPR limiting where EU citizens' data can be sent, the use of cloud platform with data centers outside of the approved areas could place an organization in a state of regulatory non-compliance. Additionally, different jurisdictions have different laws regarding access to data for law enforcement and national security, which can impact the data privacy and security of an organization's customers. Protecting the cloud. The cloud provides a number of advantages to organizations. However, it also comes with its own security threats and concerns. Cloud-based infrastructure is very different from an on-premises data center. The traditional security tools and strategies are not always able to secure it effectively. So for more information about leading cloud security issues and threats, you could able to get some data about 2020 Cloud Security Report, no? Okay. So we're done already with this one, no? The overcoming cloud security challenges and issues. So again, we limit your cloud computing vendors, no? Verify your access to information about the cloud environment, verify security SLAs, check for specific security measures, and consult with a cybersecurity expert. Okay, additional cloud computing security issues. In the past few years, cloud computing has grown to one of the fastest growing segments of IT industry. But this growth needs cloud security to be intact. So I will share to you the most important issues of cloud computing. Number one is the privacy cloud computing or privacy in cloud computing. The privacy cloud computing utilizes virtual computing technology. In this, users' personal data is kept on various virtual data centers which may cross international boundaries. This is where data privacy protection may face controversy of various legal systems. Security. Where is your data more secure on your local hard drive or a high security servers in the cloud? Some argue that customers' data is more secure when managed internally, while others argue that cloud providers have a strong incentives to maintain trust and such employ a higher level of security. However, in the cloud, your data will be distributed over these individual computers regardless of where you base repository of data is ultimately stored reliably no? Then reliability. Server in the cloud have the same problem as your own resident servers. The cloud servers also experience downtimes and slowdowns. What the difference is the users have a higher dependent on cloud services provider and the model of cloud computing. There is a big difference in the CSP, no, the cloud service provider service model. So once you select a particular CSP, you may be blocked in, thus bring up potential business secure risk. Open standard. In cloud computing, open standards are critical to grow. So many cloud service providers or CSPs provide well-documented APIs, so which are unique to their implementation and thus difficult to interoperable. So toward the progress, there are many open standards are under development. So OGF's Open Cloud Computing Interface is one of them. Long-term viability. Excuse me. It should be sure that the data you put into the cloud will never become invalid. So even your cloud computing provider go broke or get acquired and swallowed up by a larger company, ask potential providers how you would get your data back and if it would be in a format that you could import into a replacement application. For compliance, no, numerous regulations no, pertain in the storage and use of data required regular reporting and audit trails. No? Cloud providers must enable their customers to comply appropriately with these regulations. Managing compliance and security for cloud computing provides insight on how a top-down view of all IT resources within a cloud-based location can deliver a stronger management and enforcement of compliance policies. Okay, so main cloud security issues and threats in 2020. Almost every organization has adopted cloud computing to varying degrees with their business. However, with the adoption of the cloud comes the need to ensure that the organization's cloud security strategy is capable of protecting against the top threats to cloud security. So misconfiguration. Misconfiguration of cloud security settings are a leading cause to cloud data breaches. So main organizations' cloud security posture management strategies are inadequate to protecting their cloud-based infrastructure. Several factors contribute to this. The cloud infrastructure is designed to be easily usable and to enable easy data sharing, making it difficult for the organization to ensure that data is only accessible to authorized parties. Also, organizations using cloud-based infrastructure also do not have complete visibility and control over their infrastructure, meaning that they need to rely upon security controls provided by their cloud service provider or CSP to configure and secure their cloud deployments. Since many organizations are unfamiliar with securing iCloud infrastructure and open the multi-cloud deployments, each with a different array of vendor-provided security controls, it is easy for a misconfiguration of security oversight to leave an organization's cloud-based resources exposed to attacker. Unauthorized access. Now, unlike an organization's on-premises infrastructure, their cloud-based deployments are outside the network perimeter and directly accessible from the public internet. While this is an asset for an accessibility of this infrastructure to employees and customers, it also makes it easier for an attacker to gain unauthorized access to an organization's cloud-based resources. Improperly configured security or compromised credentials can enable an attacker to gain direct access, potentially without an organization's knowledge. Insecure interfaces or APIs, no? Cloud service providers often provide a number of application programming interfaces or the APIs and interfaces for their customers. So in general, these interfaces are well documented in an attempt to make them easily usable for a cloud service provider's customer. However, this creates potential issues if a customer has not properly secured the interfaces of their cloud-based infrastructure. The documentation designed for the customers can also be used by a cyber criminal to identify and exploit potential methods for assessing or accessing and exfiltrating sensitive data from an organizational cloud environment. Hijacking accounts. Many people have extremely weak password security, including passwords reuse and the use of weak passwords. And this problem exacerbates the impact of phishing attacks and data breaches, since it enables a single stolen password to be used on multiple different accounts. Account hijacking is one of the more serious cloud security issues, as organizations are increasingly reliant on cloud-based infrastructure and application for core business functions. An attacker with an employee's credentials can access sensitive data or functionality and compromise customers' credentials, give full control over their online account. So additionally, in the cloud, organizations often lack the ability to identify and respond to these threats as effectively as for on-premises infrastructure. Lack of visibility. An organization cloud-based resources are located outside of the corporate network and run on infrastructure that the company does not own. As a result, many traditional tools for achieving network visibility are not effective for cloud environments, and some organizations lack cloud-focused security tools. And this can limit an organization's ability to monitor their cloud-based resources and protect them against attack. External sharing of data. The cloud is designed to make data sharing easy. Many clouds provide the option to explicitly invite a collaborator via email or to share a link that enables anyone with the URL to access the shared resources. While this easy data sharing is an asset, it can also be a major cloud security issue. Again, the use of link-based sharing, a popular option since it is easier than explicitly inviting its intended collaborator, makes it difficult to control access to the shared resource. The shared link can be forwarded to someone else, stolen as part of the cyber attack, or guessed by a cyber criminal, providing unauthorized access to the shared resource. And additionally, link-based sharing makes it impossible to revoke access to only a single recipient of the shared link. Malicious insiders. Insider threats are a major security issue for any organizations, honestly. A malicious insider already has authorized access to an organization network and some of the sensitive resources that it contains. Attempts to gain this level access are what reveals most attackers for their target, making it hard for an unprepared organization to detect a malicious insiders. So on the cloud, detection of a malicious insider is even more difficult. When cloud deployments, companies lack control over their underlying infrastructure, making many traditional security solutions less effective. So this, along with the fact that cloud-based infrastructure is directly accessible from the public internet and often suffers from security misconfiguration, makes it even more difficult to detect malicious insiders. So the cyber attacks. Cybercrime is a business, no? And cyber criminals select their targets based upon the expected profitability of their attacks. No? Cloud-based infrastructure is directly accessible from the public internet. Is often improperly secured and contains a great deal of sensitive and valuable data. Additionally, the cloud is used by many different companies, meaning that a successful attack can likely be repeated many times with a high probability of success. No? As a result, organizations' cloud deployments are a common target of cyber attacks. Denial of service attacks. The cloud is essential to many organizations' ability to do business. They use the cloud to store business critical data and to run important internal and customer-facing applications. This means that a successful denial of service or DDoS attack against cloud infrastructure is likely to have a major impact on a number of different companies. As a result, denial of service attacks where the attacker demands a ransom to stop the attack pose a significant threat to an organization's cloud-based resources. Six best way you can improve cloud security. How to secure is cloud security? There's no question that the public cloud service providers that you're familiar with, such as Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, offer a more secure environment than you could ever hope to with your on-premises servers. However, even though cloud service providers are terrific when it comes to protecting your data while in the cloud, what they can protect you from is stolen credentials, as mentioned earlier, or when your company data leaves the cloud to interact with other systems. The latter happens in every company on a daily basis as employees access, download, and transfer all the data from all the sort of devices in all sort of places of all sort of people. Security breaches are rarely caused by poor cloud data security. They're caused by humans, stolen login credential, disgruntled employees, accident deletions, insecure Wi-Fi connections, and other employee mishaps are the reason that your cloud data is at risk. So why is cloud security important? As more organizations migrate their data, applications, and other assets to the cloud, so it becomes even more important to understand how to protect this highly sensitive business information that could potentially be exposed. Preventing leaks and data theft is critical to maintain your customer trust, not to mention the cost of a data breach, which can easily reach millions of dollars for many companies. Maintaining regulatory compliance is another reason why cloud security is so important for many industries who must comply with strict standards or risk huge fines. So, for each 2020 cloud security report, BitGlass surveyed IT and security professionals concerning cloud security in their organization. Amongst the respondents, 33% admitted that they're extremely concerned about the security of public cloud. 40% were very concerned, 20% were moderately concerned, and only 2% said they were not at all concerned. But there are security measures that you can implement to reduce your risk. And this is the 6th best way you can improve cloud security. Number 1, kasi maybe you are asking, Dr. Abante always mentioned different security issues and so on. This time, I will give you the best way on how you can improve. Just only improve, no? Cloud security. Again, the MFA. The traditional username and password combination is often insufficient to protect user accounts from hackers. And stolen credential is one of the main ways hackers get access to your online business data and applications. Once they have your user's credential, they can log into all those cloud-based applications and services that you use every day to run your business. Protect all of your cloud users with multi-factor authentications to ensure that only authorized personnel can log in to your cloud apps and access that sensitive data in your own or off-premise environment. Again, protect all of your cloud users with multi-factor authentications. Because multi-factor authentication is one of the cheapest yet most effective security controls to keep would-be hackers from accessing your cloud applications. In fact, most security experts will tell you that it's now considered negligent if you don't implement MFA as part of your infrastructure as a service plan. So if you want, of course, if you want to add some security, use multi-factor authentications. Number 2, manage your access or user access to improve cloud computing security. Most employees don't need access to every application, so every piece of information or every file. Setting proper levels of authorization with an, of course, with yung, when we say AIM plan, no, that is improved, no? Ensure, no, that each employee can only view or manipulate the applications or data necessary for him or her to do her job or to do their job. Assigning access control not only helps prevent an employee from accidental editing information that he or she isn't authorized to access, but also protects you from hackers who have stolen an employee's credentials. It should also be noted that many regulatory compliance standards such as HIPAA, and of course, FINRA and many others require these kinds of security measures. No? It should be noted that again, no, if an employee who has access to everything gets tricked, no, by a phishing email and inadvertently provides their login information to your private cloud. So, well, now the hacker has the keys to all your kingdoms. If you don't have the in-house time or talent to manage this user visibility and control yourself, be sure to work with a qualified IT consultant to help you get this set up properly. You can also explore ongoing management of all your cloud IT services by signing up with a managed services provider who can completely take the burden of user access and management, also known as Identity and Access Management or yung IAM na sinasabi ko kanina or IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management of your plate. Monitor end user activities with automated solutions to detect intruders. Excuse. Real-time monitoring and analysis of end user activities can help you spot irregularities that deviate from normal usage patterns. Example, login from a previously unknown IP or devices. These abnormal activities could indicate a breach in your system. So catching them early on can stop hackers in their tracks, no? And allow you to fix security issues before they cause mayhem, no? There are only some solutions that can help you out with this, starting with automated 24/7 network monitoring and management, and moving up to advanced cybersecurity solutions such as intrusion detection and response, vulnerability scanning and remediation, endpoint detection and response. Every business have a varying needs for different level of cybersecurity services. So be sure to get a third-party risk assessment before making any large investments. Okay? It's a sort of advice. Be sure to get a third-party risk assessment before making any large investment. Okay? Create a comprehensive offboarding process to protect against departing employees. Of course, when employees leave your company, make sure they can no longer access your cloud storage, systems, data, customer information, and intellectual properties. This is a crucial security responsibility that often gets pushed back days or weeks after someone has left. Since each employee would likely have access to many different cloud applications and platforms, you need a systemized deprovisioning process to ensure that all the access rights for each departing employees are revoked. Again, if you can't manage this internally, don't hesitate to outsource this task to someone who knows how to properly set up, implement, and maintain this process. Provide anti-phishing training for employees on a regular basis. It's also important, no? Hackers can gain access to secure information by stealing employees' login credentials through social engineering techniques such as phishing, spoofing website, and social media spying. So as an example, the rapid expansion of Microsoft Office 365 has made it a very attractive target for hackers. More and more threats are emerging, specifically the frequency of phishing attacks. Offering ongoing training is best way to prevent employees from falling victims to these scams and compromising your company's sensitive data. We need to keep in mind, we said ongoing. Phishing training is not one and done. It's a continual process that needs to be managed by someone within the organization in order to make it effective. Consider cloud-to-cloud backup solutions. As I mentioned, the odds of you losing data because of your cloud provider's mistake is very low, but losing the data due to human errors is high. Again, let's use Microsoft Office 365 as an example. If an employee should accidentally delete data, a hacker obtains an account password and corrupts the data. Or a rogue employee cleans out his inbox and folders, there is nothing Microsoft can do past a certain time period. Note that most cloud providers, including Microsoft, do not delete data in their data centers for a short period of time, including your Microsoft Office 365 data. But be sure to check with your cloud provider to determine what this time frame is. And if there are fees to restore that data, sa companies that must abide by strict regulations or the concerns with being held liable due to missing or corrupted data are turning to cloud backup solutions. Actually, there are many of these solutions on the market today that can help protect you. So check in with a reputable IT consultant to determine which solution is best for your business. How to choose the right cloud security technologies. Okay? Say you need to provide your own cloud computing services technologies and tools because you're using a PaaS or IaaS solution. So how do you choose the right tools for your needs? In a lot of ways, choosing cybersecurity solutions for a cloud-based application or computing environment is similar to choosing security solutions for your own network. Some basic pointers to keep in mind includes assess your biggest risk and vulnerabilities. Before choosing a security solutions for your cloud computing environment, it's important to know what your biggest risks and vulnerabilities are. This way, you can choose solutions that affect the things that are most likely to affect you and cause harm. They may involve running several kinds of cybersecurity assessment in audits, such as asset audits, risk assessment, and vulnerability assessment. Consider your regulatory requirements. No? What industry regulations do you have to comply with? Will a given cybersecurity solution help you meet that compliance standard? If not, well, it provides a significant cost to security that will be worth the expense. These are questions that need to be asked of any security tool or process before including it. Double check your existing security tools. Can one of your existing cybersecurity solutions be adapted to work as a cloud computing security tool? If so, how will it perform and how easily can it be adapted? Being able to adapt existing solutions to new cloud services can help make the transition easier for your people. Consider user experience. How will introducing a security solutions impact your processes? User friendliness is an easily missed aspect of security, but it's incredibly important. No? Security solutions that are too difficult to use may end up getting circumvented by end users, compromising your cloud security. So even without people actively working around security measures, cumbersome security protocols can bog down processes so that the time and labor get wasted. Okay, so I think I end my presentation, and this will be my references. To summarize, one of the biggest security worries with the cloud computing model is the sharing of resources. Again, cloud security or cloud service providers need to inform their customers on the level of security that they provide on their cloud. No? Models of cloud computing, security issues, research challenges in cloud computing. Data security is major issue for cloud computing. So there are several other security challenges, including security aspects of network and virtualization. So all this issue of cloud computing, due to the complexity of the cloud, it will be difficult to achieve end-to-end security. New security techniques need to be developed, and older security techniques needed to be radically tweaked to be able to work with the cloud's architecture. As the development of cloud computing technologies is still at an early stage, we hope our work will provide a better understanding of the design challenges of cloud computing and pave the way for further research and more training about the security in cloud computing. So that's it. Thank you very much and good day, everyone.